Welcome to the show, Mikella.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. So, my favorite question to start off with is, what is your sober date?
It was August 22nd of this year.
It was or it is?
It is.
Okay.
It
So
is.
you got about 3 months then.
Yep.
That's awesome. Coming up on 90 days.
Yep.
I know what that feels like. Is this your first time at sobriety?
Yeah, it's the first time I ever wanted to be sober. I spent the better of about 10 years not sober.
And we'll get into that. What was going on August 21st of this year?
I was tired. I was really, really tired. Drugs
What,
wasn't where it was at for me anymore.
so what made you want to change? Did something happen besides just being tired?
Um, to be honest, I started a new job with my best friend. She has a cleaning business and I'm kind of like her right-hand man. So, um, I got into God a lot. Um, she, I had it put on my heart to just have a conversation with her. I went to her, like I sent her a message on Messenger and was like, I just need you to talk to me. I don't know what it is that we need to talk about, but God's telling me to come and talk to you and your husband because they were already in a walk with Christ. So, um, we never ended up actually getting a chance to talk at first. And I even actually was living with her for a little while prior to this. So we didn't really talk a lot then because she worked during the day and I worked overnights at that time. So we just saw each other in passing, really. And then God brought her back into my life again. And I've been with her for probably right around 4 months.
Okay. All right, so you're from Indianapolis?
Yeah, both my parents, my birth parents are from Indy, and then my stepdad is from Kentucky, and my stepmom's from Brownsburg.
When did your parents get divorced?
When I was around five-ish, I think. I don't really remember. A lot of my childhood I suppressed, because my stepdad was sexually abusive to me. So I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I kind of with my dad and my stepmom, but not my mom and my stepdad.
Okay. And did you have any brothers or sisters?
My dad and stepmom have my brother, who's autistic nonverbal. And then my dad and my stepdad and my mom have like six kids combined.
Oh, well, it's a big family on the other side.
Yeah, and I don't get along with any of them but my sister.
Is it because of the abuse that
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that we just I don't know. Me and my sister are basically the same person, just different ages. I don't know if that's necessarily trauma bond or if it's just that's just how we are. I don't know. I pretty much had to raise my younger siblings on my mom's side, so I mean, there's that connection with her, but me and my brothers never got along. So, it's it's complicated. I don't know. I have nieces and nephews I've never met, and one of my nephews thinks I'm some kind of junkie, so I don't it all they are they're narcissistic, so I stay away from them as much as possible.
it's probably better that you do?
Yeah, so
Can
it's
I
definitely it's definitely not something I want to do in recovery for sure.
can I ask how old were you when the abuse happened?
The earliest I can remember was around 5, and I remember going all the way through to high school.
Oh, so it wasn't a one-time thing.
No, it was not.
Was he a drinker or something?
Yeah, he was. He was a drinker. I know he smoked weed. Past that, I don't know. My mom's always been an alcoholic. Like I had to hold her hair type of stuff. Like she was never. like emotionally, she was never there. Like she wasn't really a good mom. Like me and my sister are in agreement on that. Like even now, as we're adults, she's still I'm the parent, and that's it. That's all. There's no gray area, no nothing. So I cut off contact with her altogether, unapologetically. So, but it's with my walk with Christ right now. I have to forgive her. I don't have to forget, but I have to forgive her, and not for her, but for me. So I'm working on that currently. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that you need to do for yourself and not for anybody else.
Yeah,
Um, because you can only hurt yourself with your holding the resentments.
yeah. And
Um, I-
I've spent a lot of time praying for her and praying for the resolution of the relationship for anyone who needs to hear that. So pray, 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 pray is what I can say on that.
yeah, resentments are like playing with fire and being upset when you get burnt.
Yeah, yeah,
Did she know about the abuse?
yeah. At least twice, if not three times, and still left me in that situation. Like I can't wrap my head around that because, for one, as a woman, I would never let my daughter be in that position to begin with. But then to know I'm in that position and to leave me there, I would never ever have done that either.
Did it happen with your sister too, or just you?
To be honest, I really don't know. I'm getting ready to find that out probably next week because my sister moved to Arizona and she's coming for Thanksgiving to visit. So I get to spend some time with her. This is the first time I've seen her in probably over 5 years or so.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's a reunion too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what did you discover first, drugs or alcohol?
Alcohol. I was in high school and I started drinking actually. My one of my brothers was sneaking me alcohol through my bedroom window. And he actually is the first one I started smoking weed with. And then later on I was snorting cocaine and then I went to smoking meth. And I in between all of that I was taking pills.
Okay. So we went a little you were like 14 when you first drank?
Yeah, roughly.
No, that's fine. I was 11 when I first drank.
Right.
So, and I started drinking alcoholically when I was 12.
Right.
So, I understand the whole starting early thing.
Right.
And, it wasn't long before you started smoking weed.
Yep. Yep. I smoked weed for quite a few years.
Yeah, I smoked for 25 years.
Yeah. I eventually got to the point where I couldn't smoke it anymore. Like it was messing with my head so bad. Like I went to the doctor and was told my primary care, I was like, either you're going to put me on something to help me to where I don't feel like I'm going to hurt myself, or I'm going to hurt myself for something. And she basically told me, I'm not going to put you on something to basically switch one for another. So she said, if you can fight it out, do it. So that's what I did.
All right. So, and when did you start doing coke?
I waited a little while for that. So probably when I was like 25.
Oh,
So
okay. So there was
yeah,
some
so
time in
it
between
was
then.
yeah, it was a little gap in between there, but I was in an 18-year relationship with a woman. So I got with her in 2007 and I just ended things with her within the last couple of months. Um and in that 18 years, it was probably some of the worst times I've ever been through, even with all of the abuse I went through as a child. So it really was just an add-on to what I went through as a child. So the police had been called to my grandmother's house 13 times because of this girl. So I
And
never got arrested. Yeah,
we'll
I never
catch
got arrested,
yeah, we'll
thankfully.
catch up to that. Let me see here. So, who were you living with, your dad or your mom?
As a child, I lived with my mom. I really didn't see my real dad a lot because I had made the decision to stop coming to see him for various reasons. So he didn't really get a chance to raise me, and he didn't know anything about the stuff that was going on at my mom's house.
Did he ever find out?
He just found out within the last 2 months.
Okay, so you decided to tell him now.
Yeah, because I didn't know he didn't know.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I just recently found out, honestly, within the last probably 3 to 6 months, that my grandmother that I lived with most of my life, she didn't know either.
What was their reaction?
She was very upset, with my mom mostly, but she was more worried about the fact that she didn't want me to be upset or angry with her because she didn't save me, or she didn't this or she didn't that. And I was like, no, it's fine, because I know if you would have known, things would have been different, because that's my grandma's like that. She wouldn't have left me in that situation had she have known.
Your grandmom's your dad's mom?
No, it's my mom's mom.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she feels guilty because I see that makes sense then. Is she okay? All
Yeah.
right. And I'm sure your dad was upset.
Yeah, he said if I would have known, he would have killed them both. So thankfully he didn't. He would have been in jail.
How old are you now?
I just turned 39 in October.
Oh, okay, cool. So we're like the same age. I just turned 38 in September.
Nice. Happy
So
belated birthday.
thanks, you too.
Thanks.
Um, so you started seeing a girl when you were 20 then?
Yeah, it was like right at the end of being 20, right into 21. So yeah, I was still kind of fresh.
Did your drinking escalate when you turned 21?
Yeah. I was at the bar a lot when I was 21. There was a gay bar locally that I went to a lot.
When did you know you were gay?
Well, I thought I was in like elementary school, but I recently got, like I said, I got back into the church and got delivered, and so we're not going down that road anymore because I've learned recently that it's basically trauma related, and when it's trauma related, you as a child, you can't decipher who's really going to love you and who's not. I never really saw the healthy relationships I needed to know that I was going to love a man and not a woman. So I
Like,
ended that relationship. So it won't be another one. I know that.
okay. I'm sorry, you're cutting in and out. I'm trying to stick with you. Um,
Sorry.
so you were 21 and you were at the bar a lot?
Actually, the people I hung out with were drinkers.
Yeah, so you were at the bar a lot then.
Yeah, too often.
But you didn't escalate or it didn't progress until you were 25?
Yeah, that's when I stopped drinking. Drinking really wasn't for me. I almost went to jail um a couple of times, drinking and driving. So I really just I didn't really drink anymore. So I guess I traded one for the other. I was good at that. I don't know. I wasn't really a drinker until I was, I guess. I don't know. It was just a way to mask the pain for me, I think, more than anything.
And you got a DUI when you were 24?
No, I've never had a DUI. I just didn't want to. I almost got caught like drinking and driving, but I didn't. So it was enough to scare me enough to where I didn't do it anymore. So basically, I just stopped drinking and then went to other. I was still taking pills, and um, I started snorting cocaine around that time. So
What kind of pills were you taking?
I had been taking Vicodins. I was taking Vicodin or Xanax bars. I was taking blue footballs. Um, plus I was smoking meth on top of that. So
Now
yeah,
that's a
it was a
progression
lot.
right there. Who introduced you to meth?
A girl that I was working at my job with at the time. I worked at McDonald's for like 13 years, and I got involved with her, and she got me involved with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you were already smoking meth when you were introduced to cocaine?
No, well, I kind of intertwined them both. I started snorting right before I started smoking. I got introduced to both, but by separate people.
Oh, okay. And what did you prefer?
Well, probably the meth since I was on it the longest.
Now, you're 25 years old and you're smoking meth and you're doing coke. Is that an everyday thing when you're 25?
Yeah, it became every day.
And you were supporting that habit just from, working?
Yeah, because I was pretty much like a functioning addict. Like, if you didn't know, you wouldn't have known. Like, and I really honestly didn't even notice it until my clothes started not fitting me anymore. So I knew then I had lost weight. So my friend would be like, you look sick, you look sick. And I'm like, well, not to me, I don't, but I guess.
And you lived with your grandmom at this point?
Yeah, I did. I lived with my grandma for a long time. I just recently stopped living at her house because the person that I was with is still living with her. So I moved out.
All right. So when did you move in with your grandmom?
I moved in with my grandma when I was 17.
And that was to escape out of the house you were in?
Yep. Yep. I got into a fight with my mom at that time, and she backhanded me in my face, and I was done after that. Like, you're not going to keep doing that stuff to me. So I was gone.
Yeah, and your grandmom luckily took you in then.
Yeah, she loves me most of the time.
And you started seeing this girl when you were 21 then?
Yeah, it was like right before I turned 21. She went to the bar with me when I turned 21 and was a part of that whole birthday party that I had, and then I guess it was history after that, but the relationship I had with her was very abusive. It was very manipulative. It was very drug oriented, like, but that was who she was when I met her. I just didn't see all of the signs when I met her till it was already too late.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to see the signs when your vision's blurred.
Right. I
And
agree.
you said it would. She's still living with your grandmom?
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's what her and my grandma are working out. It's a very toxic situation. It's a very gross situation to me because I really feel like my grandma's been manipulated and like she doesn't really know what to believe and who to believe, so she just stays with what she knows. Like, I don't know. I don't understand any of it, but I'm not going to because I don't act that way towards my granny. I tried to get her out of it. She didn't want to get out of it, so that's where I stand on it.
Where did you move out of into?
I moved in with my dad and my stepmom, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So that's why your dad knows about what happened because you told him.
yeah, yep. Because I'm repairing those relationships because they they love me for who I am and for who I've been and for everything that I am. So why not put myself in the better situation?
Now, have you tried getting sober before this?
No. To be honest, until I started my walk with Christ, I didn't want anything to do with sobriety. I was perfectly fine living in the mess that I had made until it was too much of a mess and it needed cleaned up. So I'm working through that now.
Yeah. And did so you were basically a daily user for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you always been a religious person?
Um, my dad had started me out in the church when I was young, but as a child, you really don't understand and comprehend the things that we do as an adult. So that walk wasn't really that important to me, I guess, as a child. And I really honestly feel like um, my walk started when God knew I was ready. So I feel like a couple months ago, I was with my friend, my boss, and we were going to a job to clean, and she was on a prayer line with her church, and she had been praying for her son, who was also on drugs at that time, who's also since then gotten clean. So she was praying for him that morning, and we almost got into a really bad car accident right after she got off of the prayer line, and it literally felt like something had just snatched my shirt, like trying to grab me, like trying to get my attention, something. I don't know. Like it was very silent around me. Like I couldn't explain it any other way to you. I was fine all day. And then after we got done with the job, I couldn't stop crying. And my friend's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know." But I knew something was wrong. So I started going to church after that with her and started my walk. And I got baptized and saved and all of the things. So God's a big part of my life now, thankfully.
I was going to say, why do you think it's different now? Is it because of that?
I think because I am able to receive the things that I need to receive from the messages that he sends from because my dad is also a pastor. He has his own church that I go to. So I feel like it's been my will maybe my whole life because I feel like God has always kept me. I just wasn't able to see it because of all of the fogginess, because of all of the drugs and all of the people I was putting myself around and all of the things I was doing wrong. And you, until you really get to a point where you are really tired and you know there's nowhere else for you to go and you're ready for God to do what he needs to do with you, you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. So I know 100% for sure that there's no way I could have been in recovery right now and everything that's been happening in my life. I could not have done that by myself. There's no way. I just stopped smoking cigarettes 3 months ago too.
Okay, so when did you start smoking cigarettes?
When I was 15. And I had
And,
tried stopping smoking cigarettes before and I couldn't.
and you've been able to stick with it this time?
Yeah, I haven't had no urges or anything.
I'm still working on that.
I'm telling you, go to church. God will do it for you.
I'll do it by the time I'm 40 is what I tell my wife.
Well, good luck to you.
I chew nicotine gum.
Do you?
I chew nicotine gum all day while I work.
Nice.
And, I get them prescribed to me by my doctor. So all I have to do is pay a copay of $1. And normally they're $68 for 100 pack.
Wow.
But since I get them prescribed to me, all I do is pay the dollar copay
Right.
and I get the same box that would be $67 out of pocket.
That's crazy.
So, and my wife was prescribed the patch, and that really helped him get off of, she was vaping,
Right.
and that helped her quit. So I, keeps on saying like, well, you can try the patch, and my wife's already 40. So I said, well, when I'm 40, just like you did, is when I'll do it.
Right. Well, you
So
got a little bit longer, I guess.
yeah, I chew nicotine gum all day long while I work when I can't like sneak out for a quick smoke.
Right.
So I'll chew nicotine gum while I work. Um, so you were in active addiction for like 14 years then.
Every bit of it. Yep. But I'm really glad I'm not anymore. And the thing of it was too, like through my addiction, like I didn't have to pay for a lot of the things that I was on. So that made it more intense on my end just because I knew I could have it when I wanted it. So that
When
was
you
a
need,
big reason of why I never stopped.
how could you get it for free?
Well, when I was on meth, I was trading a lot for it. So I had like I was dumpster diving and stuff, so I had like a little side hustle for it, so I didn't really have to pay out of pocket for it.
How were you what do you mean by dumpster diving?
Like there was different places I could go to, and I knew I wasn't gonna get in trouble if I got the stuff out of the dumpster, and I would go get it, and I would go trade my person for it.
I think I follow you.
Yeah.
And so you did have to still work for it then.
Yeah, I worked for it. I just didn't have to pay money for it. I just had to trade merchandise for it.
I got you. So is your ex still using?
Yes.
And that's part of the reason for the breakup?
It's about 50-50 of it. Yeah, it is because she's a user, but it's also because she's not a good person for me. Maybe she is for somebody else, but she's just not for me. I prayed my way out of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that, you have such a solid head on your shoulders now and you're doing all the right things.
Yeah, thank you.
It's never easy to walk away from a long relationship and a long relationship with drugs and, alcohol and cigarettes. These are all things that they're really hard to walk away from, whether it's a relationship with a person or relationship with, meth or coke or drinking or smoking.
Yep. Drugs was always my it was my numbing medicine. It was my escape medicine. It was always the one thing that was always there when nobody else wasn't. It never rejected me. It never, you know what I mean? Like it was never not there. So it was a coping mechanism for me for a long time.
Well, you're doing great now.
Yeah. A lot better than I was.
And I'm glad you're able to move in with your dad and kind of mend that relationship.
Me too.
And I'm glad you went no contact with your mom. That's really hard to do, but it's easier to do when you've been through so much trauma and it lets it continue.
Yeah. And it's been really, really hard too for me because she doesn't see why or where she's wrong. So I really just don't feel like until you really know why I'm upset with you, I guess, then we can't really, there's no fixing it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for coming on and telling your story. I really appreciate you. I'm glad to see you're doing so well now.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I ran across you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.